In a world where destiny is defined by lineage, Lucy, a young renegade, struggles to survive in a cruel orphanage. Marked by scars from the past, her unexpected encounter with the powerful King Julian turns her world upside down. As the shadow of execution draws near, wild secrets and primal instincts emerge, connecting lives beyond imagination. Can the power of an ancestral connection change the fate of a life destined to perish? Discover a tale of courage, love, and impactful revelations that challenge the laws of the kingdom and the heart. An unforgettable journey about hope, identity, and the unbreakable bond that transcends time. In the heart of a shadowy orphanage, under the cloak of night, Lucy battled exhaustion as she scrubbed the stone floor. Her hands, worn by relentless labor, bore witness to the harshness of her life. Beside her, Joan, with an empty gaze, carried out equally grueling chores, her hope nearly extinguished. The air in the orphanage was heavy, saturated with the scent of damp stone and the palpable despair of the young girls confined there. The bodies of the girls were maps of pain, scars, bruises, and lifeless eyes, visible marks of the constant violence that hardened their souls. The sound of Mrs. Dunley's whip was a brutal reminder of their reality. Any misstep meant more pain, no food, no rest. The scars were a roadmap of their daily suffering. Lucy had been there for a decade, ever since her parents, branded as renegades, were executed by the former Alpha. Too young to fight or flee, it was in the orphanage that she met Joan, another renegade with no family ties. United by adversity, they shared the burden of work and oppression. Things worsened with the arrival of the new Alpha a year ago. Even more ruthless than his predecessor, he decreed that all renegades would be executed upon coming of age. Terror took over the orphanage. Joan's 18th birthday approached, sealing her fate. Lucy counted only 2 more months to live before her own execution, but an unexpected announcement on the eve of Joan's birthday changed everything. Lucy's fate would be decided along with her friends. The news struck harder than any physical punishment. Far away, in the domain of King Julian, ruler of the shapeshifter realm, concern grew about the extermination of young renegades. Although he rarely interfered in werewolf affairs, King Lucian saw the systematic massacre of renegades before adulthood as barbaric. The law forbade executing a renegade unless they committed a crime or reached maturity. For him, children should not pay for their parents' sins. Rumors of an orphanage abusing renegade children and hastening sentences reached his ears. Determined to eradicate such corruption, King Lucian set out to investigate personally. At the orphanage, news of the imminent arrival of King Julian had an immediate effect. Mrs. Dunley's cruelty only intensified, promising even darker times before any possible change. In the orphanage, Lucy and Joan lived under relentless cruelty, forced to clean incessantly under threat of harsh punishment for any failure. Food was denied at the slightest trace of dust, and beatings were routine. Yet, the local Alpha had already decreed their end. They would be eliminated before the king arrived, their bodies quickly discarded. On the night before the execution, Lucy suggested an escape to Joan, who, desolate, saw no way out. The fear of being caught or killed if they tried to escape paralyzed Lucy. The trap was set. The morning of the execution dawned with yet another round of forced labor. With their bodies already weakened, Lucy and Joan scrubbed the floors until their knuckles bled and polished wood to the point of exhaustion. When Lucy could no longer endure and collapsed, Mrs. Dunley, the orphanage supervisor, whipped her with sadistic pleasure. Despite the searing pain, Lucy stifled her screams, refusing to give her tormentor that satisfaction. After the punishment, Joan helped Lucy clean up, one last gesture of dignity before the end. As they left the orphanage, a line of luxury cars arrived, bringing a flicker of hope. However, it was not the king. Well-dressed men stepped out, and among them, one stood out with an imposing presence. For a brief instant, Lucy's gaze met his, a strange agitation rising within her as he watched her with a piercing intensity. Mrs. Dunley rushed to greet the newcomer, mistaking him for the king. "No, I am his beta," the man replied with disdain. The revelation sent chills through Lucy. If the beta was there, the king could not be far. Fearing the girls would attract unwanted attention, Mrs. Dunley hurried them away from the scene. As they were led toward the city, Lucy's instincts screamed of imminent danger, and a deep unease settled within her. The silver-eyed man stared at her relentlessly, as if probing her soul. An inexplicable, forbidden attraction bloomed inside Lucy, making her heart race. As a renegade, eye contact was forbidden, but an inner longing compelled her to find his gaze. Who was he, and why did he unsettle her so? She quickly averted her eyes, her pulse quickened, feeling a strange, disturbing warmth in her chest, a mix of fear, curiosity, and something more. His look was different, sending shivers down her spine and tying her stomach in knots. Ignoring this sensation was imperative. Her fate was already sealed, and distractions were not an option. As they walked out of the city, Joan whispered about the chance to escape, but the vastness of the road ahead made the idea seem like a mirage. Resignation weighed heavily on them. "We keep walking," Lucy said, squeezing Joan's wrist, without showing fear. Still, the feeling of being watched persisted, and the image of the silver-eyed man, disturbing different, wouldn't leave her mind. In the square, Lucy was forced to kneel, her hands bound under the gaze of the Alpha, who brandished his blade. Joan, beside her, trembled, holding back sobs. The Alpha pronounced the sentence, "These renegade abominations will die now." Joan's cries, pleading her friend's innocence, were useless against the Alpha's mockery as he raised the sword over Lucy. Even as she trembled, Lucy kept her chin raised, denying him the satisfaction of her fear. Just as the blade was about to fall, a powerful voice ordered, "Stop!" An overwhelming aura brought everyone in the square to their knees. An imposing figure in a dark coat stepped forward. King Julian had arrived, accompanied by his beta and soldiers whose mere presence inspired fear. Lucian's gray eyes swept across the scene and landed on Lucy. His breath caught. There was something about her, a call, even though she was just a renegade. Seeing her there, wounded, bloodied, and about to be executed, awakened something primal within him. As Lucy was about to be executed, Lucian's wolf erupted with a savage, possessive fury. It wasn't pity, but a primal urge that demanded he protect her, a feeling he'd never experienced before. "You cannot execute her," Lucian commanded, his voice brimming with authority. "She has not yet reached maturity," the local Alpha, defiant, retorted. "With respect, Your Majesty, the law gives me the final say over renegades in my territory. They die today." Lucian's eyes darkened. His wolf, recognizing Lucy, growled with restrained possessiveness. The sight of her, trembling but defiant, sparked something undeniable inside him. "Forget any other law, Alpha," Lucian replied. "The law of maturity stands. Renegade minors are only executed if they've committed crimes. This girl is not yet 18. The Alpha scoffed, refusing to grant such a privilege to a renegade. Dead silence fell. Lucian stepped forward, his presence suffocating. "Do you dare challenge me?" His voice was low, lethal. "Does an Alpha believe he holds more authority than King Julian?" Lucian's soldiers tensed. Fear finally struck the Alpha, who hesitated, paralyzed by the king's power. An overwhelming pressure pulsed from Lucian, flooding the square with primal terror. The Alpha's sword fell from his trembling hand. His arrogance shattered. He was nothing before the king. "Remember your place, Alpha." Lucian's voice was a lethal whisper. "And kneel before your king." The Alpha swallowed hard, shrinking back, his bravado gone. "Take them," Lucian commanded his beta. In the chaos, as the guards released them, Joan stumbled. Lucy instantly rushed to her friend as the Alpha tried one last attack. Lucian's mere intervention froze the aggressor in his tracks. The king himself did not understand the compassion he felt for the black-haired girl with rare dark blue eyes, but when he looked at her trembling, his wolf stirred violently. Lucian's beta and soldiers quickly led Lucy and Joan to a luxurious black car. Each touch made Lucy flinch, her back raw from recent lashings. Fear consumed them. They had been taken, but to what fate? Their experience taught them mercy for renegades did not exist. Darius, Lucian's beta, watched in silence, noticing the king's unusual reaction. Darius had known Lucian for years and had never seen him act this way. The king's growl at seeing Lucy seize up was more than irritation. It was primal, possessive. Something was wrong. Lucian, normally indifferent to prisoners, especially renegades, showed an uncommon interest in this girl. Darius sensed the king wasn't yet aware, but the signs of a mate bond were obvious. If he was right, everything would become much more complicated. Inside the car, Lucy and Joan, tense, expected the worst. Each jolt on the road reopened Lucy's wounds. "Don't cry," she thought, fearing more punishment. They were being taken to a new slaughterhouse. Suddenly the car stopped. Lucian got out and ordered them to be brought out. Confused, Lucy obeyed, her legs barely holding her up as she stepped onto solid ground. The vast landscape and distant forests seemed to mark the limits of her suffering. Lucian, arms crossed, watched them with his steady gray eyes. Doubt gnawed at him. Was he truly offering them a choice, or just trying to convince himself? His wolf was restless, fixing his gaze on Lucy with disturbing intensity. He struggled to hide his inner conflict. "You are not prisoners. You will not be executed. You are safe," he declared, his authority undeniable. Lucy's breath caught. "Why would you save us? We're renegades." "No one saves renegades, Your Majesty." Lucian's expression was inscrutable. "Because you deserve a choice. You can go, but alone and fragile you wouldn't survive. Or you can come with me to King Julian's realm, where you'll be protected." Uncertainty was etched in Lucy's and Joan's faces. Running meant certain death. Staying meant the unknown. But Lucian's words and his power conveyed, for the first time, something more than just a death sentence. After a moment, Lucy nodded. Joan, weeping, followed. In the car, Lucian could feel their fear. The two huddled like wounded animals. Every bump made Lucy shudder, causing his wolf to snarl. Joan's grip on her friend's arm, tight enough to leave marks, didn't escape him either. The scent of their fear disturbed him deeply. They were only renegades, weren't they? Frustrated, Lucian ordered the driver to stop. The car pulled over, raising a cloud of dust. Without explanation, he got out, opened the door, and fixed his gaze on the girls. "Get out." Hesitant, Lucy and Joan stepped out, legs trembling, panic still present. Ignoring his wolf's agitation, Lucian reiterated, "You are not prisoners. You won't be executed. You are safe. Why would you save us? We're renegades." "No one saves renegades, Your Majesty," Lucy whispered, her voice loaded with a hopelessness that made Lucian's wolf bristle. It wasn't a plea, but the resignation of someone who had already accepted death and didn't understand why it had been denied her. Something in Lucian recoiled. He shouldn't care, but the thought of her feeling worthless made his wolf growl in defiance. He hated that someone had stolen her hope, and even more, he hated how much it bothered him. Why did this insignificant renegade affect him so? The pain in her voice ignited something unknown inside him. A strange relief flooded him as the girls agreed to go with him. His wolf settled, oddly satisfied. There was something about Lucy that went beyond obligation, and it unsettled him. In the Julian kingdom, Lucian hesitated in assigning them a place. Always decisive, now he felt a rare corrosion, worry, possessiveness. He pushed these thoughts away, attributing his actions to duty, to supervise, to maintain order. But why did Lucy feel like a personal matter? Was he being too protective? Too involved? He justified to himself that they were just fragile renegades in need of supervision, but a strange sensation in his chest made it hard to ignore the weight of his decisions. He led them to the castle, presenting them to the housekeeper, an older woman with sharp eyes and gentle manners. "These two are new," Lucian announced with authority. "They'll work here. Give them a bath and suitable clothes." The housekeeper nodded, but before she could escort them away, Lucian intervened, his tone inflexible. "Joan will change with another maid. Lucy stays here." A tense silence fell. Lucy's stomach twisted in fear, her pulse racing. Please, Your Majesty," she stammered, fear overwhelming her. Lucian's eyes narrowed. "Take off your dress." Tears burned in Lucy's eyes. Her trembling hands went to the tattered fabric of her dress, her heart about to burst. Panic consumed her. Was this it? Had she misjudged his intentions? Lucy's instincts screamed at her to run, but there was nowhere to go. The torment of her past felt different from this new terror, laden with the weight of the unknown. A lump of suffocating panic formed in her throat. Refusing would bring consequences, but obeying? What awaited her? The moment her back was exposed, a guttural scream tore from Lucian's chest. His wolf lashed out violently, and before she could react, a devastating howl erupted from him, shaking the castle walls and silencing the kingdom. Darius burst in, finding his king nearly feral. "Lucian, control yourself." But it was too late. Lucian's wolf, driven by fury at seeing Lucy's wounds, roared. Every scar, every lash mark etched into her skin, hurled him into a spiral of uncontrollable rage. He knew pain, but that his mate had endured unimaginable suffering. Darius acted quickly, pulling Lucian back. "You need to leave." "Well." Lucian's fists clenched, his body vibrating with fury. His vision blurred by the red haze of Lupin wrath. Every instinct screamed for vengeance, to protect and destroy whoever had hurt her. Darius's firm grip anchored him. "Lucian, control yourself." Darius's voice was sharp, urgent. Lucian's chest heaved in the struggle against primal need. Claws emerged, canines ached with transformation. His wolf howled for justice, demanding he take Lucy and protect her. But he couldn't terrorize her even more. With a final, trembling breath, he let Darius pull him from the room. Leaning against the wall, hands trembling in his hair, he still struggled to contain himself. Inside the room, Lucy remained frozen, her heart pounding. She had never seen such raw emotion, especially from the powerful King Julian. The memory of that furious howl echoed, leaving her more confused than ever. Joan ran to her, embracing her. Lucy stiffened, her mind still processing the wild howl and the fury in Lucian's golden eyes. Was he angry at her? At what had been done to her? And why had his reaction awakened something deep inside her? She wanted safety in Joan's arms, but the confusion was overwhelming. "Joan, what just happened?" she whispered. Joan only hugged her tighter. "I don't know, but it's nothing. Are you okay?" Lucy barely heard, her thoughts spinning as she stared at the door where Lucian had disappeared. What had just happened? And why did it feel like the whole world had changed in that instant? In the days that followed in the Julian kingdom, Lucian's protection over Lucy intensified. His vigilant gaze followed her in ways he didn't even understand. His wolf grew restless whenever she disappeared from sight. He tried to justify this behavior. She was a fragile renegade who had suffered too much, and his protective instincts were just a consequence. Yet the growls of his wolf when she flinched, or the quickening of her pulse when she spoke, betrayed his logic. He found himself frequenting the places she was, his presence hanging over her like a silent guardian. Why did he care so much? Why did the sight of her wounded form awaken something deeper than pity? The restlessness of his wolf became unbearable, and every day Lucian began to realize that this attraction, this urge to ensure her safety, transcended mere duty. It was something far more dangerous. One night, while Lucian watched from his office as Lucy spoke with Joan in the courtyard, his beta cleared his throat. "My king, something's wrong," the beta observed, leaning against the desk. "I've never seen you so attached to anyone. Your wolf reacts with excessive intensity to her pain, to her presence." Lucian scoffed, turning away from the window. "Don't be ridiculous. She's a renegade, a fragile creature who's already seen too much suffering." The beta smiled knowingly. "Then why does your wolf grow restless every time she leaves? Why did he almost take control when she flinched because of an old wound?" Lucian tried to refute him, but the words wouldn't come. His breath caught. Heat swept through him. His wolf stirred violently, a possessive, barely suppressed growl rumbling in his throat. The weight of realization hit him, his pulse pounding, as if his body recognized a truth before his mind dared accept it. His instincts screamed at him to act, to claim, to protect. The moment became suffocating. This couldn't be happening, yet deep down Lucian knew. He had known from the instant he saw her. She was his. His breath stuttered again, a sharp and unfamiliar pain lancing through his chest. His wolf lashed out, demanding recognition. The air in the room seemed to warp, heavy, as if a monumental change loomed. He clenched his fists, unable to ignore what was now so painfully clear, the undeniable connection. Still he fought it, unwilling to surrender to the truth settling over him. His wolf's possessive snarl intensified. The beta's words echoed, confirming what Lucian refused to admit. He had known since he stopped the blade from taking her life, since his wolf roared with rage at the sight of her being whipped. Now, as comprehension set in, his heart pounded with a newfound emotion. She was his mate. The revelation struck with brutal force. The mighty Lucian, the king, bonded to a renegade, an orphan broken, with eyes that mirrored the depth of the sea, holding both sorrow and resilience. Her dark hair framed a delicate face that took his breath away. There was an ethereal aura about her, fragile yet unyielding. The contrast between her battered body and her unbreakable spirit shocked him to the core. His wolf, no longer just restless but now desperate, howled in triumph, claiming her in a way Lucian had never felt. For the first time, destiny rendered him powerless. His wolf's triumphant howl clashed with Lucian's disbelief. It wasn't possible. It shouldn't have happened. But it had. His mate. His destined one. Weeks passed and under Lucian's guidance, Lucy and Joan grew stronger. Joan was the first to manifest her wolf, a transformation so smooth it seemed she'd only been waiting for the opportunity. Her wolf was agile, fierce, full of repressed strength. Warriors and trainers were impressed by her rapid progress. Lucian pushed them both hard. But with Lucy he was relentless. He knew that unless she found her strength, she'd never feel she belonged. More than that, he needed her to understand her wolf, to discover the truth for herself. He chose not to reveal they were mates. It was something she needed to sense, to know. A simple declaration would mean nothing. But if her wolf recognized him, if she felt the bond in her bones, there would be no denial. So he waited, driving her to her limits, knowing that when her wolf finally emerged, she'd understand everything. Lucy, however, struggled. Her wolf remained dormant, reluctant despite fierce training and Lucian's encouragement. She fought, determined not to be left behind, but some inner resistance held her back. It was as if her wolf was waiting for something she couldn't name. Until the night of her transformation, Lucian had insisted she run alone beneath the full moon, urging her to cast aside her fears, to embrace her instincts. The wind whipped at her face, moonlight guiding her steps through the dense forest. Her breath was ragged, muscles burning with exertion, but something about that night was different. The primal energy in the air, the strong scent of trees, the pull in her chest, everything pointed to an awakening. Then she felt it. A new strength surged within her, bones aching, skin tingling with electricity. She stumbled, vision blurring, the world spinning around her. A blazing heat overwhelmed her, and before she could stop it, she shifted. Her wolf was unlike any the pack had ever seen. Massive, towering above even the strongest warriors. Black as midnight, her fur shimmered with a silvery sheen under the moonlight. Powerful, unmistakably Julian. The awed gasps of those who witnessed her transformation were swallowed by a stunned silence. Even Joan, who had always encouraged her, was rendered speechless. A presence emerged behind her. Strong, overwhelming, unmistakably familiar. Lucian. He had been watching, waiting for this moment. The sight of her wolf sent his own into a frenzy. His breath stuttered, his wolf clawing beneath the surface, howling in triumph. The truth had never been clearer. She was his. Before she could react or comprehend, Lucian approached. His voice rough with restrained emotion. "You feel it, don't you?" he murmured. Lucy stepped back, her body trembling from the transformation, her mind reeling. She felt raw, exposed, her wolf still simmering beneath her skin. Lucian reached out, his touch grounding her as he whispered, "I've known for some time, but I needed to be sure you were ready." "Ready for what?" she managed, breathless. His gray eyes burned into hers. "To know the truth. You are my mate." The world seemed to stop. Her heart hammered, breath caught as she processed his words. The attraction, the inexplicable bond, the way his presence both soothed and overwhelmed her. It all made sense. "No," she breathed, disbelieving. "That's not possible." Lucian cupped her face, his touch firm and gentle, affirming, "It is. It has been since the moment I first saw you." Her lips parted but no sound came. Faced with such a revelation, she didn't know how to react. Yet, looking into his eyes, she felt the bond between them hum. Undeniable, unbreakable. Lucian leaned in, resting his forehead against hers. His fingers brushed along her jaw, tracing the curve of her face with a reverent and possessive caress. The bond between them pulsed, alive. "Now we'll make sure you never doubt your power again," he murmured, voice thick with emotion. "You're more than my mate, Lucy. You're destined to be my queen. You are a Julian. Lucy's breath trembled as the truth settled inside her. The tension between them was electric, a need crackling in the air. Lucian's golden eyes darkened, his inner wolf resonating with satisfaction, claiming what was his. She found herself drawn to him, her hands hesitating before resting against his chest, feeling the strong, steady rhythm of his heart. His warmth and scent surrounded her, consuming her. "Lucian," she whispered, but the words were lost as he kissed her. It was a deep, possessive kiss, heavy with weeks of restrained longing and unspoken truths. His hand tangled in her hair, deepening the kiss, pouring all his emotion into it. A possessive growl vibrated from him, his need barely contained, though his touch remained reverent. Lucy responded instinctively, her body yielding, her own wolf stirring in answer. Her fingers clung to his shirt as if he were her only anchor. When at last they parted, breath mingling in the cold night air, Lucian pressed his forehead to hers once more. "You are mine," he whispered, voice hoarse, possessive, yet full of promise. "And I am yours. Always."